Good morning, everyone. How are you doing this morning? Welcome back to Sunday School and a year of learning about God. Actually, today what we're going to talk about, and actually a lot of the large group openings and the contemporary services that we'll have, we're going to talk about a theme of comfort and how God comforts us. But nonetheless, what we have here to kick it all off to begin is, have you noticed something unusual in church today? A dog? Not just any dog. I have two dogs at home. They aren't quite this special. They aren't quite this fun. My dogs at home, if you would go up and try to pet them and they didn't know it, I don't know what would happen. This is a very special dog. Her name is Katie, and Deb and Joanne are going to tell you all about comfort dogs and what they do to people maybe who aren't comfortable. Maybe it's times when disaster hits, or when things in your world kind of seem maybe upside down. There's something kind of fun, and hopefully you guys got to do it, and if you haven't done it yet, there's something kind of very nice about going and petting a dog. Thank you very much. We're very eager to hear about Katie.
Thank you very much for inviting us today. Before the little ones go back to their class, I just want to tell you briefly about Katie. This is Katie Comfort Dog. She is part of Lutheran Church Charities, an organization out of Chicago, and they started the Comfort Dog program about 10 years ago. And Katie is 4 years old, and she belongs to our Trinity Lutheran Church in Fremont, Nebraska. And we got her when she was 1, and she'd already had over 2,000 hours of training when we got her. We had to go and get trained so that we know how to be her handlers. We have a team of 14 handlers and other helpers that go with us, and we take Katie. She greets the children every day at our Lutheran school, and then we take her to nursing homes and the hospital and the homeless shelter. We go to the library story times, and then we also do some disaster relief. Some of the kids had asked if Katie does tricks. Does she shake hands or roll over? She doesn't do any tricks. Her purpose is to bring comfort, and the mission is to share the mercy, compassion, presence, and proclamation of Jesus Christ to all who are suffering and in need. That's Katie's job. The other thing, one of the things she does is she will put her feet up on like a hospital bed. If someone can't reach down to pet her, she'll put her feet gently on the side of the bed, then she puts her head down on the person's lap on the bed so they can pet her. That's called Rise. And she also does a lap. And there's some of these boys that said they wanted to have a hug. So we're going to show you how Katie gives a hug. Okay, guys, two of you come on up here. You said you wanted a hug. No, just these two first. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have time for everybody to get a hug. Like, probably not. But this is how Katie gives a hug. And we also visit other schools where sometimes bad things happen, and then the students there just love getting hugs from Katie. Now you can put your arms around her. Yep. That's how Katie gives a hug. Katie, give the hug over there too. And Katie, Lutheran Church Charities started in Chicago after they saw how important pets were to people and how much comfort they bring. And then they started taking dogs to disasters. And then they decided if we put dogs in churches, then the people at the churches can take the dogs to comfort people. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Katie will come and visit the classes of all the younger kids. I have a video. Let me first show you. I'll come back to the video. Okay. So here's again the mission of the Lutheran Church Charities Comfort Dogs is to share the mercy, compassion, presence, and proclamation of Jesus Christ to all those who are suffering and in need. And you can see that Katie visits people in nursing homes. There's a student at a middle school, and then there's we went to a a rehabilitation center, kind of like it's not really a nursing home, but it's where people go when they have had surgeries, and so she was there visiting them, and that woman had missed her dog, and she was just so glad to hug Katie. This is Katie when she was a puppy. Isn't she cute? And she even had a little vest when she started her training. When she has her vest on, she knows she's working. When we take her vest off, then she plays and she runs like a regular dog. In fact, we were at Pastor Kyle's house last night, and she ran around the backyard with their dog, Maddox, and they had a great time. And they start training at about 8 weeks old. Lutheran Church Charities uses all golden retrievers, purebred golden retrievers. They're not rescue dogs. And in fact, they're purebred back at least 5 generations. And they all have to have the temperament to be calm, and they use golden retrievers also because they're easily trained. They're very smart dogs. So we visit churches. She greets at our church every Sunday at all the services. She's a Jesus dog that she goes to church usually 2 or 3 times a weekend. And we visit schools. Sometimes we go and do chapel at their Lutheran schools, or we go to public schools if they've had something tragic happen, or if a teacher invites us to come and talk about what Katie does in her ministry. The bottom picture, you can see those students all have a stuffed Katie dog. We have these stuffed puppies, stuffies, and the children at that school, they're not actually in their own school because their church had had a fire. It was in Minnesota, not just a couple hours from here. Their church had burned down and it was connected to their school, and their school had all kinds of smoke and water damage. So they had to go to a high school to have their first and second, third, up their 5th grade school in a high school. And they were pretty upset, and so they each got a puppy. And so we sell these puppies for $15 so that enables us to give away other puppies. So we have some of these available. That's the only thing. We don't charge for when we come and visit, but we do tell you that we sell those dogs. We go to nursing homes. People in the care homes love to pet a dog, especially a calm dog like Katie. And we also visit hospitals. Sometimes when we go on disasters, after disasters, we visit the families or victims' families in the hospital. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. I don't know how much the little kids want to stay. I've got a video that I'd like to show, but it's kind of long. So do the littlest ones want to go to their class and have Katie visit them? Okay. So we're going to go back. So we'll let them go back to their classroom, and if you want to take Katie, Katie will come with you and visit your classroom. Because I know that if little ones have to sit still for Sunday school and for church, it gets a little too long. Katie will be back. She'll be here all morning. You can't buy this dog. Okay, the video I'm going to show is actually from the Hallmark Channel. It was an interview with Tim Hetzner and Rich Martin, their CEO and one of the head people at, Rich is in charge of the disaster response at Lutheran Church Charities, and they will give you a history of the Comfort Dog Ministry and some of the ideas. It's about an 8-minute video, so I'd like you to listen to that. It gives a lot of background.
Very true for our next guests who run towards destruction or tragedy, stressed while most people are on the other way. Here we have Laura, our pet rescue expert, Marissa, along with Tim Hutzler and Rich Martin of Coming On.
This is amazing. These gentlemen, along with their entire ministry, bring these beautiful dogs to different locations around the country when tragedy strikes and people need them most. And that bond between animal and person is just wonderful. And thank you guys for doing what you do.
I know after Hurricane Katrina, our family fostered a dog that was abandoned down there, a beautiful Great Dane named Lady. And I know that tragedy in particular was sort of the impetus of the original. Tell us a little bit.
That's correct. Well, we do disaster response, and we were in Metro, which is right on the border of New Orleans. So 2 days into it, one of the medical teams down there, 2 days into it, we were asked by FEMA to do search and rescue of people and their pets, because FEMA couldn't rescue pets. And so we got flatboats and went down and started rescuing people and their pets. And from that, we saw the power and the healing quality of a pet and an animal with a person that was going through a disaster. Enough to the fact that they would risk their life rather than part with their pet. So we started doing that, and it just so happened that from that we learned that there were people that we had working with us that had golden retrievers.
Yeah.
And so we started bringing them out at the next disasters, and that kept going. And then in February of 2008, there was a shooting at Northern Illinois University. And I got a phone call from a pastor that was in lockdown with students. He said, "You still want those dogs?" But that time we didn't have our own dogs. But I said, "I can bring them in," and we did. And it was one of the most comforting things to the students. In fact, they invited us back in May of that year before they graduated. They were the dogs back. And after they got hit me on the head and said, "Don't wait for a crisis disaster. Use dogs in helping people in communities that go through personal crises all the time."
And it's only gotten bigger and bigger. In 2008, when you started, you only had 4
We
dogs.
started with 4 dogs,
Now you're in over 25 states with over 100 dogs.
about 130.
I mean, that's a huge number. How many requests do you get a year, would you say?
We get well over 1,000 requests of all of our affiliates. We have a link on our website for emergency site visits, so for the tragedies such as Parkland or Sandy Hook or the Boston Marathon or the hurricanes in Texas, Hugo and Irma. And then the day in, day out life happenings of kids that died from cancer, or helping kids at exam time in schools, high schools and colleges with their exams, de-stressing.
Yeah, sure.
And we work a lot with our military. We have an active Care 9 military ministry where our Care 9 veterans go out to VA hospitals, Yellow Ribbon events, Gold Star family events, and then we just launched a King of Days ministry.
So you're very busy. That's over 3 visits a day around the country.
Yes.
It's not. I mean, obviously the requests are increasing because of the effectiveness of this. And talk a little bit about the difference that you see in the victims when the dogs are present. Why is it?
First of all, you got to have well-trained, relaxed, comfort dogs. This is like a comfort dog with a heart. But they're trained to do this many times, no matter what age, they'll lay down on it. But you know, when you pet a dog, you relax. The dogs are safe because they're confidential.
Yeah.
They don't take notes. They're not judgmental. And so they're safe. I remember at Sandy Hook, there was a small boy that hadn't talked since the shootings, like around day 40. His parents brought him out, and he slowly went up to the dog. And he laid down on the dog. It didn't talk to him, but then he lifted up the dog's ear and shared with the dog what took place in class and what he was in. First time he spoke, it was a dog. Parents were, wow. We see it in nursing homes. We see it with people that have dementia and that don't talk or don't. But then had a dog and they start talking to us. They order to, and they're like, I can't believe this. In all tragedies, again, the dog is soothing and we're safe. And that helps people if they can talk about what they've gone through. It is one of the most impactful things in order to start the healing.
And the animals really can pick up on the
was at Sandy Hook for 6 weeks. You can tell that just seeing the people over those 6 weeks.
It's interesting too, we talk about noise distractions or noise sensitivity after events like this. Stone and Douglas, it was the same scenario where the kids would react to a truck, a dump truck, a garbage truck, a school chair that fell in the school, sirens. And in Sandy Hook, we would often look for jobs to give the children. So one little girl gave the job of grooming the dog, and she would brush the dog and brush the dog, and then she'd take all of the hair out of the brush, and she would put it in her pocket. And when she had an anxious moment during school, she would reach in her pocket, and the comfort dog was there. The number one thing we hear time and time again from parents and children alike, the dogs are the number one reason my child went back to school.
What you guys are doing, gentlemen, is so amazing. It's really commendable. Thank you so much. You think that way. I mean, if we can just get a little bit of their feeling, it'd be like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have a lot to learn from you.
Yes, we really do. And I know there's something else that the ministry does.
Well, not only do they bring these stuffed animals that get to go home with all the kids as well, which obviously is so wonderful at night, but they also, every dog has a Facebook account and a business card. And when I was talking to Tim, he goes, it's not to be cute, because I kind of like that. He said it's not to be cute. It's so that anybody who's interacted with a dog and it's helped them, they can go home with that business card, and on the backside they get to email or Facebook the dog and keep that communication going. You know, it's maybe one of the only ways to vent what they're feeling, and it just makes a world of difference.
You know, the hair store is what inspired us to do this, because they have something to take home. Like, obviously, the dogs we bought will take care of them. We got these to hand out to all the students, and ever since then, in any crisis or disaster, these get handed out to victims that they can just take home, and then they name them. Sandy Hook named their dogs, and they made little business cards for their own dogs.
Well, I'll tell you what, some angels have fur, but Tim and Rich, I'm pretty sure your wings are underneath your jacket. I'm going to go with that. Thank you for bringing us this story, Larissa. It's wonderful. And if you want to get more information on Lutheran Church Charities, their Canine Comfort Dog Ministry, or how to find out how you can help, all you have to do is go to the website below.
So that's the background of how the Comfort Dog Ministry started, and with the stuffed animals too. Let's see, let's catch up. So Katie visits schools, care homes, hospitals. A lot of these pictures, actually all of these pictures are taken when Katie was on deployment. We got Katie in 2015 in end of June, and that fall is when there was a shooting in Oregon. And our team was, well, Lutheran Church Charities, when they get the invitation, we only go by invitation, and there was a church in Oregon said that we need you here. And so our team, we had 4 people, and Katie, and then there was, I think, a total of 6 dogs and their handlers that went out there, and they just sat on the campus. And when the campus was closed to everyone else, but our people were able to be there with the dogs, and the students and faculty that were coming in just to get their stuff out of the buildings or still do work, would just come and sit and pet the dogs. We don't ask about what happened that day or were you there. And we don't ask anything. We're just a presence, sharing, really being Jesus present with them. And people would just sit and share. And one girl in particular kept coming back, and we have 2 young moms on our team, and they were there, and they kept talking to this girl because she was on their volleyball team, and their daughters play volleyball. And so, and then at the last day, this young woman said, you don't know who I am, do you? And they're like, no, because they hadn't watched the news or anything. She said, I'm the person that survived in that classroom. And here, she had been through that all week and never shared that, and our people didn't even know it, but they were just like, wow. And so we were able to still communicate with her through our Facebook page and messaging. She still contacts Katie, even now, 3 years later. Our team was able to invite her to Nebraska when the volleyball championships, I think, were in Omaha, invited her to come and watch the volleyball games with them. And so that was an important connection. In all the disasters or tragedies that we go to, we make those connections, especially through the Facebook page and Instagram, and people communicate and ask for prayers, and we're able to pray with them and tell them about Jesus. So when we go to places, we visit hospitals, either the victims or even just other people. The gal in the middle, her dad was in the hospital in Las Vegas. He had been on vacation and had a stroke or a heart attack or something. And she was from Kansas City. And so we were able to visit with her, and it just meant so much to her to hug and pet a dog, to bring a little bit of joy and normalcy to their life. We also go to special events. I don't know if you've heard of Tim Tebow's Night to Shine. It's a prom for people with special needs. Katie was invited to that, so Katie and Nico, I'm supposed to have a laser on here, I don't know how to work it. But anyway, so one of our handlers made a scarf for Katie out of satiny material and put a big flower on it so it looked like a prom dress. And she made a tuxedo scarf for Nicodemus, Comfort Dog, so they went to the prom together. We also support Habitat for Humanity. We did it's a Miracle League, baseball league, for kids with special needs on a special ball field that we visited there. We've gone to YMCA events, Veterans Day, and then we've got the Kiwanis Night Out, where we especially like to support our EMTs and our police officers and fire departments. Katie also brings comfort to the grieving. Quite often we're asked to go to a funeral visitation, especially if there's been an accident of a young person or a suicide, that we will be either at the visitation or at the funeral or at the schools where they went to comfort the friends and the students at the school. But we always go only when we're invited. We don't just show up and say, hey, we're here. We wait to be invited. Then here's the disaster response. On the left is the Umpqua Community College in Oregon. On the right, we went down to Stillwater, Oklahoma. A month after the Oregon thing, there was that woman the homecoming parade accident, and where some adults and children were killed. And so we visited every elementary school in Stillwater, and there was, I think, 13 comfort dogs that went down there, plus their teams. And then just visiting the kids in the classroom, it made them feel better. And we could hand out the cards that had Bible verses on it. And these are public schools. And there was one little boy in the room where we had Katie, and he said, hey, Katie's Bible verse is Psalm 37, verses 23 and 24. He goes, hey, that's a Bible verse. And had all the cards from the other dogs. They all have Bible verses. And I said, yes. And he said, I'm going to look them up. And he pulled the Bible out of his desk. And he was looking up the Bible verses and sharing them with his classmates. So it's just things like that, how God opens the doors. In 2016, there was a shooting of the 5 police officers down in Dallas. We went down there, and then also St. James Lutheran Church in Northrop, Minnesota, where they had the fire. 2016 was the Pulse nightclub shooting, and 3 of our handlers and Katie went down there with, I think there was 12 other comfort dogs that were there, and they visited the employees of the nightclub. They visited just the church that served in that area. They visited hospitals, the 911 call center, the police station, fire station, hospital, a news station. The middle on the top, they were at a news station, and you think about the reporters that have to cover it. They're traumatized as well. And just to bring comfort to them, and to see people in business suits and their little pencil skirts and everything, just getting on the floor and loving on the dogs, because it just helped them. On the bottom are all the dogs and their handlers. Then last year, there was a concert in Las Vegas. I was blessed to be able to go on that with Katie. On the top left, that's all. We visited Faith Lutheran School in Las Vegas, and they invited us to come, and so the classes would take turns visiting the dogs, and they'd You can see there's a lot of kids. Katie is used to getting petted, and it doesn't bother her to have 6 or 7 kids all around her petting her at the same time. And she just lays there. That's what she's trained for. On the right, that's Nicodemus' comfort dog, and we were at the coroner's office that day, and they had worked around the clock for 3 days, and they needed comfort. They really appreciated the dogs being there. Then the bottom is all of us that were there. This is more from Las Vegas. In the top right, you can see that sometimes if God opens the doors, we will pray with people. That's Rich Martin there, just stopping to pray with someone, that we will say, just kind of as the Spirit leads, if someone is sharing something really heavy, we'll say, can I pray for you? And do you mind if I pray for you? And we can just pray right there on the spot. And that's really what this ministry is all about. The dogs open the door that we can share God's love with other people and bring them God's comfort. And again, it's a miracle, the girl in the bed with all the people around her and all the dogs, it's a miracle that she's alive. And we were the only ones that she allowed to come in and take pictures of her. The news, it was a traumatic story, and the news people wanted to interview her, and she wouldn't let them, but she did let Lutheran Church Charities dogs come in and take her picture. Then, this past February, there was a shooting in Parkland, Florida at the high school, and there was comfort dogs there within 24 hours because there was, comfort dogs had been at the Pulse nightclub shooting. The governor and people in Florida recognized how much good the comfort dogs did, and so they contacted LCC immediately and said, we need the dogs down at Parkland, at Stoneman Douglas High School. And so we had, Tim Hester says, we like to have boots and paws on the ground within 24 hours. So we had people there within 24 hours. There was 4 people and 3 dogs, I think, there immediately, and within 2 days they had a team of probably 10 dogs there. They stayed for that week in between. And then this group of dogs, Katie is one, we were there when the students went back to school. It was very hard for them back in the school. It's a huge campus. Growing up in the Midwest, we don't understand schools that have outdoor hallways. And they don't have they have a cafeteria, but it's too small for their student body that there's picnic tables outside where people eat lunch all year round. So, but that's Florida. And so we were down there, and it's a huge school, but it just meant so much in each classroom to be there when the kids went back, and for the teachers as well. In the top right, that's Katie and one of her sisters. She has 3 sisters that are also comfort dogs through Lutheran Church Charities, and that was Anna, who was there with us. No, that was Leah. Leah and Anna and Tabby are her other sisters that are comfort dogs. And there's all the states that the comfort dogs traveled from to go down to Parkland at that time. In the top left, we were sitting there, it was before school, and those 4 girls were petting Katie, and they were just chatting, and then one of the girls on her phone, it was a white background with a big red N on it. We're like, is that for Nebraska? She goes, yeah, I'm going there next year. Really? And it turns out all 4 of them are gymnasts, and 3 of them are going to Big Ten schools. One's coming to, should be here in Iowa at University of Iowa, and one's at Nebraska, and one's at Michigan State. So coming from Parkland, Florida, they're going to be in Big Ten schools in our gymnastics program. So we'll have to watch for them. And we also are involved in the military ministry. We want to support our veterans. So 2 of our handlers go to the Veterans Hospital in Omaha twice a month. We are happy to support any events, military events that we can to support our military. And on the top, on the right, that was we visited a veterans care home in Omaha. Again, we also support responders. Lutheran Church Charities has a police ministry that they started. So it was a Care 9 ministry, that's the military. The handler who handles Katie has to be along, who is a veteran, has served in our military. Katie, and so when he handles Katie, she wears a camo vest for the military. Katie does not have a police ministry vest because we don't have anyone in our congregation who is works with police or EMTs, who is willing to be a handler, but we would love to get that started. So that's another branch of our Lutheran Church Charities. Bottom left, that's a man who was at the 911 call center in Las Vegas. Those people are often forgotten. Tragedies happen, but they need comfort too. So again, this talks on the right is Katie's Bible verse. If the Lord delights in a man's way, he makes his steps firm. Though he stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. That's Katie's Bible verse. It's on the back of my tags. And then Katie's card. Make sure each of you get one of Katie's cards. I've got some up here, and then there's some in the back. And it has her Facebook address, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, her email, and everything about Katie that you can email her or contact her. People often want to know about Katie's care. She belongs to our church. We have a team of 14 handlers, and there's 2 couples on our team that are caregivers. So the primary caregivers, that's where Katie goes home every night. So she goes to the same house every night. If they're going to be out of town, or usually once a week, there's secondary caregivers that she goes to a different house. And then, but on times like this, when we stayed in a hotel last night, she'll stay with me. I'm not a caregiver. I'm not her primary caregiver, but we know how to take care of her. Her daily routine, I don't know if she probably isn't doing it in the little kids. Sometimes we demonstrate. Katie gets her teeth brushed every day, and she gets brushed every day. She gets a deep tissue massage at the end of the day, especially if she's had a lot of people petting her. She absorbs all those emotions, especially when we're on deployment. So she gets a deep tissue massage. She has to get exercise. On her pink collar, there's a little green thing. That's a Fitbark. Do any of you have a Fitbit for people? Fitbit? You know what a Fitbit is? Well, Katie has a Fitbark. It's a Fitbit for dogs that we can look it up on our phone how much exercise she's getting every day. So she's supposed to get 7,500 steps in a day. That's a lot. So we like it when she runs around, because then she gets lots of steps and we don't have to make all those steps with her. Food, she has a special. Katie is allergic to chicken, so we have to be careful with what she eats. She also has allergies to the grass and typical things in the Midwest that she was born in Chicago. Excuse me. So she takes an allergy pill every day, and she only gets apples and carrots and ice cubes for her treats. Excuse me. So we want to keep her healthy. Katie is not a pet. She's a working dog, and the dogs, they're so well trained, and they're registered dogs. They are very expensive. Now for a church to get a comfort dog, it's about $15,000, which is actually cheap. If you were to get a service dog, they're anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000, depending on what the dog is trained for. And Lutheran Church Charities is training dogs as fast as they can. They have a waiting list of churches that are waiting to get dogs while they get their teams together and raise their money. Excuse me. Grooming. Katie gets brushed every day, like I said, several times a day. And then she also goes to the groomer about once every 6 weeks. Oh, you have to see this. Part of when Katie has her vest on, she's working. But playtime is her paycheck. So if you work, you get a paycheck, right? This was down in Florida. The tennis team had lost one of their members in the shooting, and they were pretty sad. And so we were meeting with them after school, and then they said, "Can we see the dogs play?" We said, "Sure." So we went to the football field, and then the boys and girls tennis teams had their tennis balls, and they throw the tennis balls and watch the dogs play. What I like most about that video is hearing the laughter of the teenagers that threw the balls and how much they enjoyed watching that, because they hadn't laughed or smiled for like 10 days to 2 weeks. So that was the best part of that. So again, this is just some pictures that Katie belongs to our church, Trinity Lutheran. We never charge for a visit. We're all volunteers, and the whole program is run by donations. And then again, the stuffed dogs. Like I said, I'm not too shy to say that is a little fundraiser that we do so that we're able to give the dogs away, and how meaningful they are. That's our team from this year, and that's the information. Do you have any questions? Yes. You want one of those little stuffed animals? Okay, you talk to your mom, and then we'll see if you can get one, okay? Any other questions? Yes. Team Katie has been very blessed that we've had some donations that help cover some of our requirements. We have to make the arrangements, and so Katie has her own credit card for her account, and so we pay for our own flights, and Lutheran Church Charities lines up the hotel. If Lutheran Church Charities, and it's all through social media, they put out the request, as well as things like your Sunday school donating money to their organization, they will pay for the hotel. But they can't guarantee that because it just depends on the donations. It doesn't come out of our personal account at this time. We've been very blessed that way. That God has just blessed this ministry. So, but it's all by donation, and it's just amazing how God provides the money for her food. Our veterinarian donates her services, but not the cost of medicine. Of course, that has to come out of donations. And our groomer donates his services as well. So that all helps. Other questions? Yes?
How do you choose the Bible verse for each of the dogs?
There is one woman at Lutheran Church Charities that's in charge of the puppies and getting the puppies, and she chooses their names and their Bible verse. The first dogs that we got, they weren't all brand new puppies. Some were already named and had been, well, there's like a dog named Cubby and Rufus, and I forget some of the other names that are, they started out as Brutus, military dogs. They are named after military canine, I want to say heroes, dogs that served in the military that have died. They were named after them. But they also have Bible verses. And now they're trying to have all the dogs have a biblical name. Katie is not in the Bible, but what famous church person in our church history was named Katie? Right now? Katie Luther, that's right. They had a Luther comfort dog who was one of the original dogs, and so they never had a Katie, so that's how Katie got her name, is Martin Luther's wife. And then I'm not sure how she chooses the Bible verses, she just picks them. Other questions? Yes? Were you stretching or you have a question? Okay. Yes?
So when the dogs get older,
Good question. She asked if when the dogs get older and it's time to retire, what happens? Well, the program is only 10 years old, so the first dogs are just now to that retirement age. Golden Retrievers live to be 12 to 14, so by the time they're 10, they're slowing down, but they're not doing as much, and the congregation will try to have another puppy, another dog that helps or does more. The dogs usually end up with, one of the handlers takes it as a pet. There are some Golden Retrievers are prone to tumors, things like that. Like Luther Comfort Dog died last year that he had a liver tumor all of a sudden. And so that was inoperable. We hope for Katie in our ministry, we hope Katie lives to be 12 to 14, and we hope that we have another dog by the time she's 8 or 9, that we can have another dog working alongside of her that will be younger. So that's the plan. Otherwise, we Not too many churches have got to that far yet. Yes? The dog, that's another good question. Where are the dogs trained? Lutheran Church Charities in Chicago is the main training center because they're the ones that started it. And they have trained trainers who are professional dog trainers, as well as they have some apprentice dog trainers. And then Grand Island, Nebraska just started an apprentice training center there that they have right now just 3 puppies in Grand Island. And they start with the puppies and they have some professional dog trainers that are teaching the people who are apprentice trainers what to do with the dogs, and they have a set schedule, what they learn as each week goes on. They meet every week for 2 hours every Thursday night. They get together to train together, then they live with the trainer, and then they come back and train. And when those puppies get to be about 8 months old, 8 or 9 months old, then they go to Chicago to finish, or whenever they're ready to, they go to finishing school. And that's when they do more working with, in going to events and things. Although we had, 2 weeks ago, there had been a young man killed in a car accident in Columbus, Nebraska, which is about an hour from us, a little over an hour. And all 5 of the comfort dogs in Nebraska were requested, and so we all went, and then they also brought the 3 dogs in training. And they're just 6 months old, but those dogs were really good, that they were there with the public and they were calm, and it's amazing how the training works. So they try to place at least, I think, 8 to 10 dogs a year through the church charities. So you can't rush it though. You have to have that good training so that they behave like Katie does. And not every dog passes. Some dogs, they have to not be able to bark. So Katie doesn't bark. They're not supposed to lick. They're not supposed to get all excited and hyper. They're supposed to be calm and let people pet them all over their body without reacting. And some dogs just can't handle that. And so then they are like sold for a donation, so they go to a good home. Yes? None of our dogs have ever bit anybody. Yes. How many states have I been to with Katie? Katie has been to Oregon, Florida, Texas, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota. Is that 8? I think. Yeah. Oh, she also went to New Jersey or Connecticut. Wherever Sandy Hook is. Sandy Hook, is that Connecticut? We always just say Sandy Hook, and that's the name of the school. That's not even the name of the town, right? Yes.
This is the question I've got. Were they inside and how do they signal when they got to go out?
That's a very good question. Katie gives us the look. Like all of a sudden, she's just like in your face, just like this. And even if we're out somewhere, like if Joanne is handling her, either if she's not looking up at Joanne, she'll be looking at me, kind of just staring at me. And that's the look that she needs a break. That's a good question. Any other questions? Yes?
When she is deployed, say you're going to be gone for 2 weeks, whatever, how does that work with the handlers and their job?
Good question. She asked if, when we're deployed, how does that work when if we have jobs in that. Deployments usually don't last longer than a week. And that's why we have a large team. And not everybody can take off work for a week at a moment's notice. We have retired people. I am a retired stay-at-home mom with substitute teacher, cleaning houses, kind of jobs that I can take off. We've got a stay-at-home mom. So those are the ones that are able to do deployments. Katie does fly on an airplane. Lutheran Church Charities has an agreement with United Airlines that they work with us all the time. And so we can almost always get on United. Unfortunately, there's no direct flights out of Omaha to anywhere on United. So we end up driving to Chicago or driving to Denver to take United Airlines to fly. She lays on the floor right in front of us or goes under the seat in front of us when we fly. Yes? We flew. Yep. So that's another safety. Nevada 9. Yes? Katie is 4 years old. She was 4 on June 2nd. So I think we probably need to be done. I think, get ready for church. Any other questions? Yes? How many dogs are in the program? There are over 130 in 25 states, all over the country. Let me just close in prayer. Lord, I thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for these wonderful people and good listeners. I pray that they will receive comfort and that your word will go out and that they can be lights and comfort to others in their community as well. Thank you again for this opportunity. In Jesus' name, amen. Make sure you get one of Katie's business cards, and the little dogs are back there. And there's also brochures if you want to support Lutheran Church Charities directly. There's information about the ministry. Thank you very much.